there would be no control and manipulation. There would be no war in the world if every human genuinely understood their self-worth and the value of who you are. You're in this world where you have two choices, okay? You can fulfill your destiny, your reason for existence, or you can continue to fulfill their agenda, right? And their agenda is ultimately that you fear your own power so much that you've come to a place where you don't even know who you are. It's when you start to recognize the power of who you are and what you have access to as a universal being, as a soul in this universe. And then you recognize the truth that you, as a physical human, are just an extension of all that. That's all that the physical stuff is. It's not real. But when you believe that it is everything, that is your limit. Instead of allowing yourself to take a deep breath and come back to that universal vibration and energy that says, I'm having this experience as an opportunity to recognize more of who I am. We weren't created to get lost in our emotions, but we've been strategically taught to do that. Welcome back to the Authentic Human Podcast. I'm Michelle Vickers. This is part 48 of the story of creation. And let's see who we're exploring with today and who we're learning from. So we've got angelics. It's interesting, actually, because we're going to do the first stream angelics are here, but they're not in the forefront. So we are going to be working with second stream, which are the founders and the holders of space for experience as a whole, from existence, the actual aspects of experience and existence, but also right down to the finite aspects of the experiences that you choose to create. And so this is what the angelics want to share with you today is, how to create experiences that are worthy of your soul. Okay. And why they're saying it that way and what they mean by that is many of us do not feel worthy of success, of love, of money, of joy. Okay. We want those things, but we don't actually feel worthy of them. And I know we've talked a lot in this series so far about really understanding who you are so that you can come to terms, sort of, but also, reclaim that wisdom, right? And that ability to hold yourself in a higher regard than you do and that you have in this life. Because as souls, we don't have access to infinite intelligence. You are infinite intelligence, okay? So that's where they want to bridge that gap today and help you understand, right? Because the mind and the brain will tell you that information is separate from you and it's something you have to get, right? You have to leave where you are and go out and access it and then bring it back to you. Because that's what we've been told and taught is how humans learn. When in fact, infinite intelligence is energy, it's a vibration. And energy and vibration is inside of you. It's a part of you. And what we're going to start to do is they want to bridge that gap and help you understand that energy is not individual. And this also comes back to, they're showing me, how a lot of us want to label our soul. Like, what's my soul's name? Well, you are your soul. So your soul is an extension of the vibration that is you, and you are an extension of the vibration that is your soul. It's understanding that what does your soul look like? It's vibration. And your soul's vibration is a reaction to the experience that you're having and your reaction to that experience in any moment. This is why it's so, so important to understand the concepts of emotional intelligence, because as soon as you allow your emotions to get the best of you, if you will, right, to determine who you're going to be, your vibration changes. And when your vibration changes in that exact moment, right, your frequency changes, you are now attracting a different frequency. Because you're broadcasting something different. So they want you to start understanding and looking at yourself as energy. So no longer as a physical human being, but understanding that every experience that you have is based on vibration and frequency. And those vibration and frequencies change based on the experiences that you're having and your emotional reaction to them. Okay? This is vital to your success as a human being. It's the reason you are meant to be successful, because you have access to every vibration in existence. You can align with those you want to, and you can ignore those you want to. That's how powerful we are. That's also the freedom of free will. Okay. But it does mean you have to understand the power of your own vibration, right? This is why, honestly, this is why I spent 12 years exploring self-worth with universal beings, because I wanted to understand every aspect of self-worth, because that's what they said. I remember it was like 2011. No, it had to be earlier. I think about that. I'm like, nope, had to be earlier. But I remember sitting in my living room, and I had been, communicating with these universal beings for years already. And it had never, ever occurred to me once to ask this question. And all of a sudden I asked it, and it was fascinating. And I asked, what's humanity's greatest challenge? And that's when they said self-worth. And they explained that there would be no control and manipulation. There would also be all the way to war. There would be no war in the world if every human genuinely understood their self-worth and the value of who you are. Why? Because when you understand and recognize your own value, your own wisdom as a soul, okay? And why they use the word wisdom is because that is your currency in the universe. Every experience that you have ever had as a soul is the vibration you hold. That's your currency. Okay? And so you have an extreme amount of currency to share. And this is why, as humans, we get confused, because ultimately we get caught up in this world where we forget our self-worth, and then we end up needing to try to figure it out, but we're led by our emotional reactions. So it's important to understand your emotional reactions are based on what you've seen, what you've heard, what you've read, and what you've experienced. They're all from your past, but they're also determined by what other people have told you to believe about the experience you're in. So if someone told you, oh, that's sad, oh, that's bad, oh, that's hard, oh my goodness, I can't believe you have to go through that. Then when you get into those experiences, those are the emotions you take on. This is bad, this is sad, this is hard, I can't believe I have to go through this. Instead of allowing yourself to take a deep breath and come back to that universal vibration and energy that says, I'm having this experience as an opportunity to recognize more of who I am. Okay. I know it's challenging to do that sometimes when there's a lot of physical and emotional turmoil, but that's how we were created as souls to be. We weren't created to get lost in our emotions, but we've been strategically taught to do that. Why and how? That's what media has done. 100%. It was the key, if you will, to leading a mass, the way they're saying it is a mass conspiracy, but to lead a mass effort to, it's that next level of control and manipulation, right? So there's control, there's manipulation, and then there's, it's almost coercion in the sense that they're getting you to participate in your own demise. Just feel that for a minute, okay? So people can control you, they can manipulate you, but when they teach you and you choose to participate, this is the key, in your own demise, that's when they really win. That's when everything goes up to the next level, okay? And that's really what the last century has been about, is humans have taken mass participation to a new level. And yes, it's a result of mass participation on their side, those who are choosing to create this drama and these situations. But what is missing, okay? The piece of information that is missing is that you have forgotten the truth of who you are. And what they mean and what they want you to understand specifically about that is that when you understand that you exist solely, okay, for the sole reason that you're meant to explore your potential, that you're meant to participate in existence and your life in a way that allows you to stretch and to defy what already exists. And yet, your emotions that you've been trained to follow ensure you stay in line, right? It's like going to a theme park and you're waiting in line. And literally, it's like, metal structures that tell you where to go and how to go. And there's just people, right? And then there's a person at the front saying, yes, okay, you can go. No, you have to stop. That's exactly how we've been trained, okay? And it's time to break up with that. Yes, maybe. More than anything, we have to no longer be content with that status quo. It's about recognition that you're here to participate in your own greatness. And if you continue to feed emotions that do not serve your greatness, it means you won't ever experience your greatness. So you're in this world where you have two choices, okay? You can fulfill your destiny, your reason for existence, or you can continue to fulfill their agenda, right? And their agenda is ultimately that you fear your own power so much that you've come to a place where you don't even know who you are. Feel that for a minute. The angelics, the one in particular, he's saying and he's sharing, when you hide from others, you're hiding from yourself. And he wants you to feel that, because we live in a world that is strategically designed and created to enable you to hide certain parts of yourself from certain people. Maybe you don't tell your boss this part of your life. Maybe you don't tell your partner this part of your life. Maybe you don't tell your kids this part of your life. And here's the thing, because you are hiding a part of you, you're never going to feel whole. Okay. It's not about needing to tell everyone everything about you, but it is being able to share the truth about experiences you've had, particularly when direct questions are involved. And it's not hiding it. So if you're having a conversation with people at work and they're talking about something and you feel, oh yeah, I have that experience, but oh, I can't tell them here, or I've had an experience, but it's like so much different and so much bigger and whatever it is, and I can't tell them. That's you hiding. Okay. You don't have to tell everyone everything, but you do have to be able to own who you are, to allow yourself to recognize the truth of those experiences, right? If you've had experiences in your life that maybe you feel shameful of, maybe you regret, okay? And you feel like, I don't want to tell my kids because they're going to think less of me. Instead of coming from a deficit position, it's being able to recognize that you can share aspects of those experiences with your children, because it's being able to share the truth that is appropriate, right, for them. You know, it's where a lot of people want to protect their children from death or from, someone saying something negative. We're not here to protect our children. Remember, your children strategically they chose you to come into this world because they knew what you had to offer. Okay. And so your job is not to protect them. Your job is to nurture them and nourish them. How do you do that? By sharing the truth. Obviously, it's appropriate, age appropriate. But if they're asking a direct question, answer the question. Okay. And don't answer the question by trying to cover up the truth. Answer the question of, how can I share the truth in the most simple way that they're going to understand? Because then you're serving them. And that means when you choose to serve them from a place of truth and respect, not from a place of, I want to protect them and I don't want them to know all the details so they'll think, less of me. The reality is those are your fears. That's your lack of self-worth. And that means that you're going to pass that on to your children. Teach them to not believe in who they are. Where do you think you got it? It didn't just show up in you all of a sudden, bam, right? We're so many thousands of generations thick in this. It's the thickest poison. It's like sludge, if you will, that runs through our minds and our brains and how they work. It's almost like, if you imagine, like when I feel into that energy, it's like my blood goes from flowing freely through my body to thick, like sticky tar. That's what's happening inside of you when you tell lies, when you hide truth, right? We think, oh, it's a little white lie, or I just don't want to tell that, so I'm going to omit that. Don't omit who you are. Allow all the parts of who you are to be your story. And not everyone is worthy of hearing your story, but those who ask are there to help. And here's the thing, that help may not come in a package that is happy and comfortable and reassuring. It may come as harsh judgment, but that's because that's the lesson that you need in that moment. And when you share it with someone, you share that aspect of you and they come back with harsh judgment, that's their story. But how you react to their judgment, that's yours. That's where we are at this level, right? We want to restore that emotional intelligence to the place where you can recognize who you are. You can be who you are in spite of all of this control and manipulation, in the world, really, because that's how we have to, that's what we have to do to regain the truth in order to create this new foundation and this new world that we're creating. We can't create it based on lies, which means you can't lie to yourself anymore. Okay. So, how they're showing me is what you want to do this week, how you want to approach this is noticing how many times you lie to yourself. It's not going to feel comfortable. Okay. If you're doing it right, it's not going to feel comfortable. And that's a good thing. Okay. If you don't notice anything, then you're not noticing where you're lying, because I can guarantee you, if you are human, you are lying to yourself. Why? Because that's how humans have been trained to act towards ourselves. Okay. We are constantly hiding. Your mind is the most strategic tool. It's like an arsenal that is literally lying in wait, waiting for any time that you've been lying so that it can cover it up, even from you. Okay. That's how your brain has been trained. And so it doesn't want you to feel uncomfortable, but more importantly, it doesn't want you to uncover the truth of your own lies about yourself. Okay. What do they mean by lies? They're just little comments sometimes that you make or that you brush off, or you sort of, you smooth it over. Anything where you're worried someone else is going to be uncomfortable about who you are, about how you think, about what you say. It's also really important. They want you to notice when you try to push yourself on someone else, or when you try to prove yourself to someone else. Or, and the big one is when you need someone else to prove themselves to you. Okay. It is not going to be a fun task if you nail it. It is going to be the most transformative experience you'll ever have, but is not going to be fun. The reward comes from the discomfort. It comes from seeing the truth of the lies that you're telling, but then you get to go into the deeper parts of recognizing the lies that you've been told. So basically, what you're doing with this is you are becoming the most efficient and effective lie detector on the planet in existence. That's what you're doing. When you hone this skill and allow yourself to notice every single time that you lie, you will notice every single time someone else is lying. Not so you can trip them up and, punish them or call them out, but so that you don't get caught in the emotional entanglement that is someone else's lack of self-worth. Okay? Because when your self-worth is not fully developed, you are at a consistent deficiency in your own self-worth. And you're at a consistent deficiency in your conversations, in your experiences, because nothing will ever be as full and beautiful and successful as it's meant to, which means you will not experience fulfillment that you're craving, because you don't have an understanding of who you are. It's when you start to recognize the power of who you are and what you have access to as a universal being, as a soul in this universe. And then you recognize the truth that you, as a physical human, are just an extension of all that. That's all that the physical stuff is. It's not real. But when you believe that it is everything, that is your limit. That is where your challenges come in. That's where you're constantly, it's like they're showing me being chased by like a rabid dog almost. And it's recognizing that you have the chance to step outside of that. But it is choosing to no longer participate in any lies. And every single time that you tell yourself something negative about you and who you are, you're lying. Every time you talk negatively about your challenges and your experiences that are meant to help you overcome your illusions and delusions, ultimately, that feed your lack of self-worth, you're not going to find fulfillment in your lies. And the Creator, he says, I want you to break up with them, but it's ultimately your choice and it's up to you. I can't do it for you. You have to choose to no longer engage in your own lies. And then what will happen is you will notice lies from others from a mile away, and you will instantly know how to avoid them, how to engage when it's necessary, because sometimes it is, sometimes it's family and loved ones. But you'll know how to engage because your emotional intelligence will be based on a universal and soul perspective level truth. That's what we're going for here. Restoring your awareness of the truth of who you are. So this week, look for those lies, feel into them, let yourself explore them, and let yourself experience the discomfort of lying and even the discomfort of actually going into the truth after lying. Notice that difference, because when you do, you're going to be able to break free, right? That's the freedom on the other side. But you've got to stop yourself in your tracks from your own lies. Okay. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much. Bye for now.
There's also been this sense of, gosh, I'm not lying outwardly, but I feel like a liar.
It's amazing, eh?
And I'm looking for, where am I lying? And I loved when you said you're lying when you tell yourself negative things about yourself, in essence. And just the way you explained it. I know I have questions, but I just felt like that was such a good summary also of the reclaim course that you're doing. Like that was such a good reclaim kind of truth. I don't know what you're calling it. Sorry, I call it
No, it's
reclaim.
all good. It's good. It's
Yeah.
actually the best one would be the self-worth program, which is the sacred journey for 1 year.
And I love what you said, like about how society sets us up. Like you lose a loved one, this is what you're supposed to feel. But it's not that simple. It's not that simple at all. Like losing someone that you care about is so complicated. It's
Right?
amazing the amount of emotions that I've experienced going
Yeah.
through the process. And I also have like great days. And yeah, sometimes there's shit days, but like it's all part of my growth and my emotional growth.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this conversation and want to learn more, head on over to michellevickers.com. Join our mailing list to receive new episodes right to your inbox or apply to be a guest on the show. If this episode made you think of someone while you were listening, forward the link onto that person with a little note about why it made you think of them, because the greatest gift you can give another human is to see the beauty and purity of who they truly are. Until next time, stay curious.